What's up, Herminators? Welcome back. So today I'll be talking about the Blackrock mountain expansion and how I feel about it. And I also owe you guys an aggro matchup from the last deck that I posted called Crimea River. A fatigue deck that also have like a mid-range feel to it. And if you guys haven't seen it, click on the top left corner right there and I link it to you guys. So Blizzard released 5 cards to us at PAX East like yesterday, and they're all really unique in their own way, and we see that there's going to be a lot of dragon synergies, and we always had the dragon type cards for a long time, but we never actually see any use for it. So without further much ado, let's talk about the cards that Blizzard revealed to us. The very first card is called the Dark Iron Skulker. This is the only class card that Blizzard revealed to us, and when I first saw this card, it looked pretty damn sick because you summon a 4/3 while also doing AoE damage. Rogue always needed a good AoE removal other than Blade Flurry to recover against aggro matchups. The only problem I see with this card is that it is a 5 mana drop and it being mana heavy. There are so many better 5 mana drops to pick from, and it's really hard to compete with the other ones. And the current Aura Rogue deck already runs a couple of 5 drops like Azure Drakes and Lotheb. So, in my opinion, this card is really similar to the Antique Healbot as a tech card because we don't always play it in our decks unless we really need it in the current meta. Grim Patron is a second card. Grim Patron is another unique card that brings out a new mechanic to the game. This is the very first card that has an effect that says survive damage. In a sense, this card is quite unique because if it survives damage, it summons another 3/3 body with the same effect. The only class I can actually see making this card work really well is the Warrior, because this card has self-inflicting cards like Cruel Taskmaster, Whirlwind, and Inner Rage. This card, in my opinion, once again is 2 mana heavy, and there are a lot of 5 mana drops that are a lot better. This card might turn out to be good if there are other cards that synergizes with the Grim Patron from the Blackrock Mountain set, but for now I believe this card is very conditional because you need an activator for its effect, and it's very mana heavy for just a 3/3 body for an effect that might not even activate. If you compare it to the Antique Healbot is a lot better since you get the effect no matter what. The third card is Rend Blackhand, and I gotta tell you guys, this card is sorta horrible in my eyes. This card to me is like another Hemet Nesingwary, a destroyer of a specific card but weak as hell. We are not talking about the attack of the card, but the health. This card is a 7 drop for 8/4, and to me, this card dies to almost anything. This card is a big game hunter target and can easily be traded in by a low cost minion or get destroyed by a couple of cheap removals. This is the exact same problem with Hemet Nesingwary, where it's easy to get destroyed due to it being a 6/3 that can easily be traded in by a 2-drop minion. At least in a sense, this card is better since its target is more general by killing any legendary than only killing a beast, but that is only if you are building a dragon themed deck. I guess the dream is to destroy something like a health heavy creature like Ysera with this card, but once again, this card is quite weak and very conditional. I guess this card can be very viable if the Blackrock expansion set's legendaries are really good, but only time will tell. The third card is Blackwing Technician, a 3 drop for 2/4 that if you hold a dragon in your hand, it becomes a 3/5. I can already say that this card is going to be pretty damn good if the Blackrock Mountain expansion are going to focus a lot on dragon synergy. Having a 3 drop being a 3/5 is almost similar to Tinkertown Technician being a 3 drop for 4/4 when the mech is in play. The reason why I like Blackwing Technician better is because it is a lot stickier if it's a 3/5 and you do not need a dragon on the board, which makes the effect 10 times easier to activate. A very simple card that can see play in almost any deck, but we can only see if this card is worth playing by looking at the rest of the card from the Blackrock Mountain set. Overall, I can say this card is pretty good. I actually left the best for last, which is the Hungry Dragon. All I can say is that this card is insane and is going to be the new Chillwind Yeti. This card is a 4 drop for 5/6, and yes, it does get easily destroyed by Shadow Word Death, but that is only one class. Also, this card is a monster for having 6 health as a 4 drop. You guys might say, but this card summons a random 1 cost minion for your opponent. Like really guys, if you look at all your 1 drops, you will see that none of the 1 drops are game breaking and are so easy to move due to most of them being at 1 health. This isn't like a piloted Shredder spawning in Doomsayer, now that is game breaking. This is going to be a staple in many decks and can easily be synergized with the Blackwing Technician since it is on curve. Let's say I summon Blackwing Technician as a 3/5 and following up with a Hungry Dragon next turn. Now that is devastating as hell. If I was a rogue class and backstab the random minion, the opponent would be so set behind it's not even funny, and would be so screwed because my board is gonna be so sticky and so hard for them to take care of. So if I were to rate this card is over 9,000 and it's going to be the next Dr. Boom in my opinion. Okay, I lied. This card is not that good, but it's still pretty good. So these are my thoughts on the Blackrock Mountain cards that Blizzard showed us, and this is only my opinion, and I want to hear your guys' opinions too, so leave them on the comments so I can discuss them with you guys. And I also owed you guys the aggro matchup for the deck I posted a couple of days ago, and this is the match. And I'll probably start commenting right now. So there's only one play I can do. I can just play the Mad Scientist because that's mana efficient, and it's actually not that bad too. So right now he either trades into my Mana Worm and pings it off, or he can trade into my Mad Scientist, but instead he Frostbolts, which is pretty good because it gives him tempo, and he attacks my face. I really thought he would trade into my Mad Scientist, but apparently he didn't, and he wants me to. So I just play my Mana Worm, and I'll probably ping his Mad Scientist off. The reason why I would ping off his Mad Scientist because it forces him to trade and it dies no matter what. Let's say the Mad Scientist wasn't pinged and it trades into my Mana Worm, it still lives and I still have to trade off my Mad Science into it, and which sucks because I lose my whole board. And doing this, I'm allowed to set up for the Kuzan Mystic, and either my Mana Worm or Mad Scientist survive, so I still have a board intact, unless he uses another spell like Frostbolt right here, which gives him some board control, I guess. And he trades the Mad Scientist now rather than last turn, which would have been a lot better if he mirror entity my Mana Worm, because I couldn't set up my Kuzan Mystic last turn, but now he allowed me to do it, and I got his mirror entity, which made him set him way behind. So let's see what he's going to play. So we obviously get that Mech Warper, and since he has 2 mana left, he can actually, there's 2 things he can do. He can play a Spider Tank or ping off my Kuzan Mystic, because if I were to trade into it, it dies no matter what. So he does play the Spider Tank, so it's pretty nice because we can easily play our Sludge Belcher, and it's on curve and mana efficient, and the Sludge Belcher is gonna be pretty hard for the Mech Mage to deal with, and I will trade my Kuzan Mystic into Spider Tank rather than the Mech Warper. The reason for that is because if the Mage pings off my Kuzan Mystic, then it wastes my duplicate and I get like a tons of Kuzan Mystic, and I don't really want that. I want to duplicate my Sludge Belcher, so I make it less likely for my opponent to waste my duplicate. Like if my opponent uses a Fireball on my Mech Warper, then I'll be quite alright with that because that's a ton of value right there, which could have been used on my Sludge Belcher to remove the taunt. So our opponent still has 4 mana, and our opponent is probably contemplating what type of secret it is. It could have been duplicate or counterspell. That's what he's thinking right now, or there's a possibility of Ice Block. So let's see what he's going to play. I don't even remember myself. What is it? Bring it to me, boy. Stop stalling. Okay, so he fireballs the Sludge Belcher, and which procs my duplicate, which is gonna screw him over tenfolds. And he's probably gonna trade in his Mech Warper into my slime. And my next turn is probably gonna be pretty easy. We're just gonna play down another Sludge Belcher, and obviously we're gonna trade the Mech Warper off because we don't want the Mage to snowball with a tons of other mechs on the board, making it hard for us. And next turn we're at 7 mana, and I'm probably gonna throw down a Dr. Boom to put up a lot of pressure because there's no way he can clear this Sludge Belcher out unless he has another Fireball. Okay, so the Goblin Blast Mage, let's see how he rolls. He rolls pretty nice. He destroyed my Mech Warper, but still I don't think that's enough to take care of my board next turn. He attacks into it. Wow, really? So he thinks that I'm going to attack my Sludge Belcher into the Noratron, which I'm really not. I'm probably going to force him to do it. Maybe it's good to run it into it because he could have easily pinged it off. No, I don't think I'm going to Fireball here. Fireball is not that good. Playing a Dr. Boom is pretty good because he doesn't have that many resources in his hand, and playing Dr. Boom would be pretty hard for my opponent to take care of, so I'm just probably gonna play that. Come on, man, play it. Yes. I'm probably just gonna end my turn. There's no point. There's no point of me really attacking into a Noratron. It's not really worth it at the same time. Like if he wants to kill the Sludge Belcher, then I'd rather make him waste mana for it by pinging it off. But instead, my opponent attacks into it with the Noratron and trades it in with the Goblin Blast Mage, which is not that bad. And then next turn we can have a lot of shit on the board, and he pings off my Boombot, which is not bad either, I guess. Okay, so I got an ice block, which is not really crucial right now because I'm still high on health. The Sludge Belcher is crucial here, and I'm probably gonna ping off the Nortron after I play the Sludge Belcher. The reason for that is because I have another possibility of using the Boombot on something else, and unfortunately went on the face and not on another creature, and probably gonna trade off the 5/3. Because the reason why I'm trading off him rather than hitting face is because I don't want him to immediately destroy my Sludge Belcher. I want him to waste more resources. And trading off the minion is a lot better because we don't really need to rush. We can even play till late game because we have a lot of late game, like we can heal for days, remember? But in this game we don't really need to heal for days. As I said before, this deck is also mid-range as well. We don't need to fatigue our opponent. We can potentially beat our opponent mid-game. As you can see here, I am running Sengens is because I want to try them out other than the piloted Shredder, and then so far it's been doing a lot of justice against aggro matchups because the 3 attack can trade into almost any aggro creatures like the Cogmaster, Mech Warpers, and a non-buff Tinkertown Technician, so it's pretty good, and the 5 health is pretty sturdy and sticky too. So pretty much right now I have the Great Wall of China right here. I don't think this guy can get through this amount of taunts, my impenetrable wall. So he doesn't even know what to ping right now. But yeah, I would ping the Sengen because you need to remove the most amount of damage as possible because I do have a 7/2 behind the Sludge Belcher. And let's see, he destroys my Sludge Belcher, which is not that bad. And I'm obviously gonna fireball the Yeti. And just going to not summon anything because I don't really need to. He doesn't really have any cards in his hand, so I can just keep attacking his face until he dies. And and I'm playing my ice block, why not? Because, you know, mana efficient. And right now he only has 7 health left. Let's see what he can draw to come back. Absolutely nothing. This is how insane this deck is. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe because I will have a lot more quality videos for you guys. And thanks for watching. I love you guys. Stay gold, Herminators, and see you guys in the next video.